All right, guys, we are live, so we'll be getting started here in just 1 minute. We'll give people a chance to jump on here quick. And boy, we're going to give our best attempt tonight to go live on Facebook, which is exciting so that more friends are able to visit with us tonight. But Rachel, Anna, are you guys ready to rock it out tonight?
Yes, we are.
Awesome. I'm so excited.
My kids are eating so healthy right now, so it's just so perfect.
Is Michael there taking care of the children, Anna?
Yes, Michael is there.
Oh, that's so
Um,
good.
yeah,
So Benny's not in charge yet.
not yet. Netflix neither. But it's like, I want garlic toast. So it's like, you eat vegetables. Mommy's going on a nutrition talk right now.
Yeah. All you can have is vegetables because that's what Mama says right now, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
Shelly, you are recording, right? Hi, Mary.
Yes, this
Okay.
will all be
Yes,
recorded.
hi, Mary.
We did. We had quite a few people reach out, and so I know that they're going to want to see this. So we are live on Facebook as well. So why don't we do this, guys? Let's get started. I'm going to open up the meeting tonight just by introducing the gals that are with me. So the three of us, this is our first event that we'll be officially doing together, and that makes it even more exciting for us because we all come from different backgrounds. We're all at very different stages in life, but we all have one thing in common, and that is our passion and compassion for children. And I believe this year, 2020, more than ever, has led all of us to want to do more than we were doing before. All of you who love your kids so much and you're just really wanting some support, some help, some solutions. And I believe that we have the answers for you tonight to many of your questions. However, I will say this. For a good portion of you, you are going to want to reach out afterwards. So each one of us has included our information on our slides tonight. We'll each be taking a turn presenting. So you will have our name, our address, not maybe address, email address. You'll see our phone number. You'll see how to connect with us. So please reach out and feel free to connect with us afterwards. So tonight with me, I have Dr. Rachel Elliot of Flow Family Chiropractic. She is specializing in pediatric and perinatal health care. She is going to obviously be touching on the physiological effects of food and stress and how chiropractic care can support our body in that way. Anna Brayton is a longtime friend of mine. She is a mom of two littles. She has a bachelor degree in nutrition. She is a certified wellness coach, a certified nutraceutical consultant, and has a really strong specialty in working with youth and foster kids. I am Chele Boe, and I have a background in holistic health. My actual degree was in communications, public relations, and psychology. So I'm going to be emphasizing tonight the mental, behavioral, and emotional issues that our kids are facing and how we can help them and support them through that. So without further ado, we're going to open this up to our first speaker tonight, and she is going to share with you a lot of information regarding our gut and our digestive health. Anna Brayton.
Yes, thank you. Yes, so diving right in, just so everybody knows, I pre-recorded a little more of to be able to really add into the conversation because I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet and to the point. So if anything goes over your head, just know that I have a recording that really goes into it a little more. But the path to good health is paved by the intestines. If you want good health, you need to take a look at your digestive health. As the picture sees, you've got one of sludge and you've got one of how it should be all nice and clean and the pathways are working as they should. So a little bit about myself. I've always been being active. I fell in love with nutrition in college. I joined the military, and at 25, I hit inflammation point where my body was like, oh, I felt like a 50-year-old. And I started to gain weight. I gained over 40 pounds in a year. Obviously, depression kicked in because I was supposed to be a healthy person and I didn't know what to do. So I'm kind of fast forwarding to now. I've got two little kids and in some of the best health of my life. And I kind of want to share my little tips and secrets of what I've learned along the way. One of them is about the digestive tract and how important it is. So if you're wondering, well, you're kind of, what is the digestive tract? I don't know, your stomach, kind of how you poop and stuff. But really, it starts at the mouth, the teeth, with enzymes breaking down as you chew and goes all the way to that anus when it goes out the chute. But in between, it's basically an overall huge chemical factory of all these transactions going on that help digest your food, helps produce vitamins that gives your body fuel. It regulates hormones that tells your body what to do. It excretes toxins, so it's also your filtration system. And it's also producing healing compounds to help rest and restore your body to keep your gut healthy. So either you are supporting that system or you are antagonizing it by what you do. So what antagonizes it? Prescription medications do. Poor diet really is high in refined foods and sugar and low in fiber. Basically, if you're shopping from the inside of the grocery store, you're probably hurting your digestive tract more than helping. Not saying that you can't find good things in there, but overall, we want that fresh produce that is high in fiber and nutrient content, right? And that leads us to an overabundance of non-beneficial bacteria. We either got good guys or bad guys, right? And we want the good bugs. And so how do we feed those and keep those nourished and growing to keep the bad bugs out? Are we also drinking enough quality water? That is huge in helping excrete toxins and make sure our cells what have they need. And stomach acidity, we can either have too much or too little, but a lot of times people have low acidity. So that those are some of the things that cause poor digestion. So I want you to think of your digestive tract like a garden. And if you imagined what your digestive tract as a garden looked like, would it be this flourishing garden that you know you have the tools and it has the proper sunlight and the nutrients and the water that it needs so that it can produce food and it can produce health and produce good things so that your body is being fed and taken care of and cultivated, that it's producing good so that you feel good so that you can produce and serve others, right? And it's our health and our digestive health just isn't about having energy. It's also about being a person who feels safe and comfortable in their own skin so that we are safe for other people. So digestive tract really, if we're not feeling good on the inside, really impacts our outward appearance and how we act and behave around others. Vice versa, though, if we're not taking care of track and we're painful guts and our health is taking a hit because of it, it's like those weeds that grown up, that we have energy for the bad things in producing the perpetual sickness in our life, which doesn't lead to a fruitful life, right? So kind of that analogy is, what does our inside look like? Because that is representative of our outside. So what does we know what a bad garden looks like, but what does a bad digestive tract look like? Well, as you can see in the picture, normal colon is nice and a fleshy pink, and then ulcerative colitis, which is inflammation of the colon, is very red. Think of sunburn, owies. Well, that's on the you can tell I have kids, owies on the inside. Those are owies. And what does that have? Well, what we talked about before, the prescription meds, the too much sugar, the acidity being off in our system. So what I want you to look at next is that next picture where you've got these epithelial cells, and picture each hand of mine as a cell. You're supposed to have these tight junctures, and how it works is the microvilli have a bunch of surface area that are supposed to be able to absorb nutrients, and those nutrients, the amino acids, the vitamins and minerals, the broken down in the most pure state, the fruits, and the fats, that's what's absorbed and goes into the blood vessels and delivered to the cells. Like, hey, I got some vitamin A here because my person ate carrots. So that goes to the eyes. We know that, right? But what happens is when we have that inflammation, the junctures in these cells, they loosen up. That's where we get leaky gut. And instead of just an amino acid being going through, undigested proteins go through, antigens, bacteria, all that go through. Your blood system's like, warning, maybe this is not a friendly guy. So it sends an immune response in inflammation. In acute inflammation is a good thing, but chronic inflammation, if we don't ever heal and seal that gut, we're going to have chronic inflammation that leads to the cancer, the cardiovascular disease, Alzheimer's, pulmonary diseases, arthritis, autoimmune diseases, neurological diseases, diabetes, blood sugar is regulated through the digestive tract. So all these things, that's why a gut is so important. Now, a note on the microvilli. When we have things like gluten, flour and water equals paste. You know that, right? When you mix it up. Well, that sort of sludge is what slows down and impacts these microvilli, so they're not as able and free to absorb nutrients. So we've really got to, that's why eating the non-inflammatory foods is so good. So that's what we want to do. Prebiotic food, soluble rich food, fermented foods, plenty of fluids, reducing the consumption of the sugars and the crackers and that sort of thing. And then choosing to supplement to heal our gut. Because I only have a short time, I'm going to go into some supplements because right now we need easy buttons. 2020 is not necessarily a year, if you have little kids right now, to make huge lifestyle changes. If you're ready to make lifestyle changes, I'd love to talk to you about that. But let's talk about some easy buttons because I don't have kids in school and I still need easy buttons because my kids don't always like to eat vegetables. So, what do we do to get fiber in my kids' diet because they don't like eating broccoli all the time? Surprise, surprise. We add this fiber powder. It's sweetened with stevia. A serving has 9 grams. Benny will literally say, I want fiber, and he'll add it to his applesauce. He does it himself. And he has a serving of that when he has it. It's so good. That is so, and that fiber with the probiotics and L-glutamine is so healing for the gut and antioxidant. It's great. Then we also add a delicious shake that I work with. It is amazing. It's so tasty. And right there, you see my kids adding it. We made protein pumpkin muffins where we added the pumpkin protein shakes, and they were delicious. And Benny ate 4 in a day. It was tons of fiber, tons of protein, so good for his brain and gut. So I really like adding stuff in instead of just focusing on taking stuff out. But if we can't take everything out, what do? We've got enzymes that help break down fats, proteins, carbs, dairy, sugars, because our kids are probably eating it. Cora has a very sensitive gut. I've had to go off wheat and gluten and dairy with her. But when she does eat it, I make sure that she takes these enzymes. They're amazing. They're actually made for kids on the spectrum. So they're micropulverized, broken down a broad spectrum of digestive enzymes. They're tasty, they're drinkable. And look at Cora, she's so adorable. I had this yesterday. I had just tons of bloating and pain. I don't know what I ate, but I was like, I just feel like a thing of rice is going to pop in my stomach. I had 2 servings of those enzymes completely gone. So a lot of kids are like constipated, the pain, they're going into the ER for that sort of pain. Digestive enzymes is something they could be deficient in. So it's so good to get that. So how do we get our kids to eat greens? Well, we try, you can see in this picture, Cora has a bunch of carrots on her plate because she will gobble them down. Benny has 2. He won't even touch those. Okay. So, in order to calm my anxiety that my kids, health is going down the pooper and not the good way, I just add in greens. They add it to their applesauce. We add it to our shakes. We add it to, you can add it to yogurt. And it's such a good way. A serving of that is equivalent of 7 salads. Benny would never eat 7 salads on his own. We love that. It's so biodiverse. But then we also have complete greens where you can drink them as a vitamin that has cholera, spirulina, so many good organic greens. So I have 2 ways to get greens into my kids that really helps add to their biodiversity and bring in that nutrient dense supplementation. And then probiotics are a must, especially now. So my kids are really big right now on the chewable tablets, but we have probiotics that support health from 0 years of age to 100 plus. So we have DNA Miracles. It's the same probiotics that are in breast milk plus vitamin D. Some women put it on their nipples to help the baby, get them that way, or you can add it to a bottle. It's so good, especially for women who are getting antibiotics during delivery or C-section. We need to build that gut biome, okay? Then we have flora melts where even I eat. They have prebiotics and probiotics. They're so tasty. We add them to our shakes. We add to our applesauce. And then we have the chewables. What I love about the chewables is that there's technology in that in our probiotics 10 that's very biodiverse, but keeps it alive when it's in the small intestine or when it's in the stomach, and make sure that they're alive even when they're delivered to the lower intestines. It's such a good product. And the chewables have probiotics that are good for gum health. So it's so cool to make sure that my kids are having good probiotics. If your kid is getting sick a lot, having that stomach irritation, you're worried about their immune health, digestive health, probiotics are a must. You're saying, Anna, my kid's super picky and I don't know where to start. I need one product to start. Aloe vera is an amazing place to start. Like we put aloe on the outside of our skin when when we get sunburned, we drink aloe because it heals and lowers that inflammation, balances that pH. Remember, acidity throws off digestive health, and it nourishes. It's got tons of vitamins and minerals and immune globulins that help support the immune system and balance out the digestive tract. If you have a kid, especially on the spectrum or having trouble going to the bathroom, this is a great way to heal and seal that gut. And also kind of like a multivitamin and tastes delicious. The strawberry kiwi, my kids thinks are juice. Don't tell them. So again, what do? We got to eat probiotic rich food and choose the supplementation, right? So what's the next step? If you want to learn more, I'm going to send out a longer video that explains these things a little more, offering 10% off. Pick a supplement, just add it to your regimen, and don't worry so much about taking stuff out now unless you're ready to. Then we can talk. Or you get 15% off if we have a consultation, because that really sets you up for success. And that's what we want, long-term health. So take a screenshot of my information and let me know. And with all that, we're going to bring Chele Boe on, and she's going to talk to us about, everything from working with our kids, with the mental health to screen time and more. So Chele, take it away. Oh, we can't hear you, Chele. You're on mute.
Thank you, Anna. Great job. Great information. Oh my gosh, you guys, what a great beginning to this evening. So we are covering so much information tonight. I just want to let you know I have to go quickly through this in respect of your time. The one thing we don't want is this evening you spending all of the evening on the computer instead of with your kids, because as you can see here, we too play a major role in the emotional, the psychological, and the behavioral situation that our children are in. And I think we all know this. The first place that most of us will look as parents is in the mirror to decide, what is my role in this and what can I do? Are my kids looking at me? Am I constantly looking at my telephone or my cell phone? Am I constantly looking at my laptop? Is there always something in between me and those children? Is there something that they're seeing that I value more than them? And if that's the case, then that's a big piece of what we can be doing to support our children. We know there are now a lot of ongoing studies that are showing social media is having a negative effect on the mental health of our children. Many of these studies say if our children are spending 3 hours a day on social media, they are twice as likely to suffer from poor mental health. The immersion of the virtual society out there is having a great and detrimental effect on the emotional and social development of our children. Guys, with teens, it's so much more. And so where Anna has the littles, I have 3 children, 3.5 grandchildren. And so now I'm watching this generation of my grandchildren come up where they're way better on these devices than I am. My children obviously are too. But what I'm seeing is exactly what these statistics are telling us, that our teens are miserable because they absolutely have thoughts that other people are better than me. Look how happy everybody else is. People are having a great time out there. This is such a fake world and a fake society, truly, because we're seeing it through the goggles of social media for our teens, that it's having detrimental effects on their self-worth and their idea of what their value is in this world. They're having feelings that are causing sadness and jealousy, and they're feeling alone in this world. And what does that lead to? Severe depression, anxiety, and oftentimes suicidal thoughts. The behaviors we're seeing as a result of this are that they're actually avoiding people even more, spending even more time on their devices. They're not sleeping well now. And without sleep, we are very much closing in on a short lifespan. Sleep is the most important piece of our life. So there's a lot that goes into being a healthy person, but there's no question that we play a major role in this. And what is that role? Unfortunately, it took me longer than a lot of people to understand how important it is that we are communicating well with our children. I don't mean flapping our jaw. I don't mean telling them what to do or how to do it. I mean actually opening these two guys and listening to those kids in a way that is non-judgmental, non-critical, and we receive the information, whether we like it or not, whether we agree with it or not. What these children need is to be heard. So often we want to give them a pill or send them to a therapist. Not saying that those things are wrong in some situations. I'm just saying, what if we started with us? What if we actually had attending behavior, turning our body to them, fully present for them? What if we acknowledge what they're saying with, tell me more? Seriously. Are you kidding? Wow. What if we just probed and asked the right questions to keep the door open and then reflected back? Okay, let me make sure I'm following you. This is what I'm hearing so far. Without judgment, without criticism, without telling them how or what they should do, what if we just listened? And what if we really, really stepped back and thought about what are the needs of my child? See, we can have three children and all three can be completely different. I know mine are all completely different, all with different prioritized needs. See, we all have the same six human needs, but we all respond to them differently. We all get them differently. So we want to meet these needs, but the need for certainty this year more than ever, certainty, safety, survival. I'll do whatever it takes to feel okay. This is in full gear right now. So those people who need safety, security, certainty, survival, this year has been a very challenging year. Those are the kids you want to make sure and let them know you are safe. I am here. You can trust me. That doesn't mean you come home and sit down and turn on the TV or the computer and start putting the wine down, right? That means we are attentive with those children. Significance. Children want to feel they matter, that they're unique, that they have a place in this world. Show them by supporting them in their uniqueness. They want love and connection. Don't we all? They just want to know somebody loves them exactly the way they are. A lot of times kids are forced to settle for connection because it's all they've got. What if we were the parents that took it a step further and said, but I love you so deeply, I'm going to go above and beyond that. And most kids are looking for growth and impact and contribution. So this is a place to start. How are we listening? Are we responding? Basically looking at what their needs are and where they fit in, and can we support them? What kinds of questions are we asking? Not just how was school today? How was your day? Good, good. How are you? Good. Everybody's good. And then they go to their room and close the door and cry, right? Instead, what if you said, you know what? I remember you said today you guys were having that test in math. How did that go for you today? Or you were telling me today that you guys are learning cursive, and what were you doing in art class? You said clay projects. That's amazing. Tell me about it. So how is that going for you? Asking questions that show them that you remembered and retained the information from the day before and bringing it back. Guys, these are life skills that all of us could use support in, because stress is killing us. It's killing us, it's killing our kids, and it's starting at such young ages. Let's get real. There's children taking psychotropic medications at age 5. I mean, imagine, I'm a big proponent of what is the deficiency. Let's support the body in what the deficiency is. And if we fulfill the need that that body has, alongside of giving that child the support they need, what if we could teach them how to cope better? What if they didn't have to feel fatigued and exhausted and like they can't handle life and like they want to just be gone and they want to be out of pain? Most kids don't want to die. They just don't want to feel the pain. They don't want to be lonely. I understand when we're moving into the teenage years, they push us away, but it's our job to show them they can push us away all they want. We're not going anywhere. A big part of the role that we play as parents and grandparents is what are they putting in their body when they're with us? You probably would die if you saw how my grandkids respond to me. And if my daughter's listening in, she will agree. It is so funny. When they're with grandma, they will see the candy aisle at the grocery store and say, oh, grandma, sick, gross, disgusting. And then when they're with mom and dad, it's like, can we have this? Can we have that? We were at their great grandma's yesterday. Great grandma had pie and ice cream. And I said, pie and ice cream. We drove 2.5 hours here. We're staying for a few and we're driving 2.5 hours back. I don't want them having pie and ice cream. That's not something that they eat when they're with me. Not one of them asked for it. So it's amazing when they develop the habits that you have modeled by your healthy eating, by you bringing in the proper foods and the proper supplementation. It's amazing how they follow in your footsteps. We need to take a proactive approach. Wouldn't you agree? You know, so many of us, we wait until we're sick. We wait until the label's there. Why? We wait for the diagnoses. Why? Why not, just like Anna said, come in when they're little, bring in those omega-3s, bring in those vitamins, bring in the probiotics when they're little, so we bring them up well and right. So their bodies know how to fight bacteria and virus and infection. That's what we can be doing. We have an entire line called DNA Miracles specifically for our children. You say, but Chele, my kids are driving me crazy. They're bouncing off the walls. They're fighting. I feel like I'm yelling at them all the time. Can we bake, feed them too without ending up hearing wah wah and boo hoo? Absolutely, we can. Exactly what Anna said. Guys, I make chocolate chip cookies all the time. I use allergen free, sugar free chocolate chips, no aspartame. I don't go for that junk. I use the fiber powder. I use cacao bliss, which is loaded with nutrients. I use coconut oils, whey protein, some almond flour, sometimes stevia. I throw a lot of nuts in there, and I make sure those cookies are loaded with protein and fiber so the children can eat them and stay balanced along with the bigger children like the hubby too. Healthy neurotransmitters means a healthy mind. What supports our neurotransmitters? What are neurotransmitters? Neurotransmitters wag the tail to humanity. They're the hormones that basically say what our mood or our behavior will be throughout the day. Neurotransmitters are supported especially by magnesium, vitamin C, and vitamin B complex. This is what's going to promote good sleep and having a feeling of calmness and being able to cope. We know that these chemical messengers are going full blast all the time. A healthy brain learns how to cope and has good balance. An unhealthy brain where the body has deficiencies or poor diet, we're going to struggle. You add sleep issues in there, we're going to see even more. Magnesium supports the neurotransmitters that will support relaxation, that will support a female who's moving into her menstrual cycles. So some of the irritability, the bloating, the pain that goes with that, magnesium, B complex, and calcium is a great mix for a young lady who has experienced her menstrual cycle. Magnesium supports relaxation in that it helps with GABA levels. GABA levels are the indicator of the anxiety level in your body. So low GABA levels in the body may cause it difficulty in relaxation. So we want to get those GABA levels up a little bit. Magnesium can help us to do that. The isotonic magnesium, because it's isotonic, meaning it's the same tonicity as your blood, sweat, and tears, will be absorbed within 5 to 10 minutes of consuming it because it's a powder mixed with water. Nothing in the world will beat this level of absorption and this level of delivery, meaning nothing will compare in the results you will get from an isotonic supplement. This is where we can support with head discomfort, support with muscle discomfort, support with sleep issues, and those kids that are very athletic, it will also support them in feeling better through recovery. We know as young as age 19, we're seeing deficiencies in B complex. I can tell you that a lot of people have the MTHFR gene, and they are certainly at a higher level of risk for deficiency in B vitamins because they struggle to metabolize them. I had my DNA screening analysis done, and through that realized that I'm one of those people. And I know Anna shares that with me as well, where we struggle to detox and we struggle to absorb B vitamins. B vitamins need to be in an activated form, yet rarely do you ever find a line of supplements that actually has activated B complex. But with the Nutrimetrics line, we do. We have methylcobalamin, quatropolic, and P5P, which are your activated forms of Bs. So we need Bs for taxi driver, take our vitamins and minerals to where they need to go. We need Bs to keep the detoxification pathways open. We need them to support the myelin sheath of the cell so we have good nervous function. We need them for stress, energy, irritability, and focus. How many parents out there could use a little support with stress, energy, irritability, and focus, right? So activated B complex has a lot of good focus in the body, a lot of good things that you're going to see as a result of having balance. So omega 3s, I need to hit on this, and I know I'm moving quickly. I promise we'll send out the recording, but omega 3s is one of the biggest concerns people have because many people have heard the truth that most of your in-store buy one get one or cheap omega 3s is nothing but toxic fish oil. You do not want to put that in your body. You want a rich, clinically evidenced, pure, potent form of omega 3 that has at least 1.5 grams of DHA and EPA for inflammation, neurological function, mood, and cognitive. We have seen people with people with issues with aggression, issues with anger, issues with mood, repeat offenders, people with bipolar disorder, ADD, ADHD, OCD have tremendous results with omega-3. Now, if you're going to be using the omega-3, please consult with one of us because I would like to make sure that you're taking the right amount for you. If you're taking it for eye health and heart health and you just want to remain healthy, the 2 caps of general serving is fine. But if you're taking this for some type of OCD, ADD, ADHD, you're going to want to take more of a therapeutic level to support that. Now, a lot of you as parents, people, and your children are experiencing issues above and beyond what we're covering tonight. We get that. We know that. Tonight was not about, doing a 3-hour class. Saturday, however, I am doing a 3-hour class. So Saturday, I will be covering from 9 until noon Central Time extensively into detail, clinically evident, science-based, thoughtful, comprehensive blends that support mental and emotional health, weight management, immune support, and blood sugar regulation. Those are key elements to being healthy. But if you're seeing some of the things on this list and they're at a higher level than usual, or you're seeing that your child is indicating they're not okay and they're telling you they're not okay, I would do what I did. I have been through probably what many of you have experienced or will experience, and that is days and nights where you don't leave your kids out of your sight because they are not well, and they are openly telling you they are not well. When my children are telling me I am not well, I am not safe. There was a time where I slept with one of my daughters for 13 nights in a row to make sure she was safe. There were times that we have not left our children alone for 24 hours around the clock. Somebody was always with them to make sure they're safe. We do whatever we can to support our kids. And I know those of you listening tonight feel exactly the same way. So how do we make sure they feel happy and calm, yet they feel like they want to go after life and feel motivated for their future? We get them back in balance. Adaptogens is a very nice way to support that. Balancing ourselves out with herbs, oftentimes that are adaptogenic, bring us from being wound up and tense or being down and depressed to where we need to be. One of the supplements that I've used a lot of times with myself, other parents, and children is Bliss. Bliss is going to support serotonin and dopamine with natural botanicals. Some of the ingredients, I'm sure many of you are very familiar, but if you're that person that's kind of like, I'm so tired, but I'm just wired, I don't know how to live like this, you may be a person that would be a great adaptogenic herb for you. Now, B vitamins and amino acids are very, very important in order to, again, balance us. This is one of my favorite products. It's called Turn Up. Another one is Turn Down. So the Turn Up will raise and help us to feel like we're going to take on the day. The Turn Down will lower and help us to feel more calm and relaxed. We've also seen Turn Down work very effectively with anxiety, PTSD, OCD, tragedy, trauma, sleep disorders. And I know Anna has a great testimony with her foster. It would be her foster niece who had gone through some great trauma. But this is a good supplement and can be used by kids as well. If you're looking overall and saying, okay, this is a lot of information, I don't know where to begin, screenshot this moment, because these are 6 supplements that we've seen tremendous results in our kids from little on. But I will tell you, typically with these supplements, we're looking age 12 and above. But when it comes to B's and magnesiums and some of the DNA miracles, the multivitamins and things, we'll know where to go depending on the age of your kiddo. If you're talking more at a teenage level and they're like chugging down those energy drinks and coffee all day and whatever they can do to kind of keep themselves alert, that's not a healthy way to stay alert. I want to encourage you to explore maybe more with amino acid type energy products. These products all are loaded with amino acids and B vitamins, aside from the vitamin D3 with K2 right there in the middle. Every cell in the body needs vitamin D3 to function. Every cell. So I struggle when a doctor says don't take vitamin D3 with K2, especially if somebody perhaps is on blood thinners. I struggle with that because my question is, knowing that as one major deficiency almost everyone, 100% of the population has, how do we then get enough vitamin D. How do we then support ourselves? What kind of breakdown are we going to see? So I'm a big proponent of vitamin D for depression and overall health, and then coming in with other things to support the energy. So again, this is my information. I'm going to have Rachel Elliot next. Rachel is a brand new young chiropractor. Her specialty is in perinatal care, and she is going to be working mostly with perinatal and with your kiddos, actually, so that she can help with the pediatric side of things. So Rachel's going to hit on the physiology part of this evening. So please help me welcome Dr. Rachel Elliot.
All right. Hello, everybody. I'm very excited to be sharing with you. So yeah, like Chele just said, I'm going to hit on some of the physical stress in our lives and how chiropractic care can affect that and help us. Um, so just a little bio here. Let's see here. I don't know what- oh. Okay, yep. So my name is Rachel Elliott. I grew up in Tomahawk, Wisconsin. I completed my bachelor's degree at the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. That degree is in human biology with an emphasis in exercise science. I am a pediatric and perinatal chiropractor officially in 15 days. So I have 4 more days of my internship left, and then I will be good to go. I am the founder of Flow Family Chiropractic, and we will be opening in the Appleton area, right on Oneida Street downtown, early next year. I do have extensive training through the ICPA, which is the International Chiropractic Pediatric Association, and the BirthFit organization. And so both of these really do help me. It has given me a lot of information and skills and education in caring for children specifically, and especially in people going through the parenthood transition. My passion truly is empowering and educating families just so that they feel comfortable and confident making the best healthcare decisions for them. So the 3 main types of stressors that a lot of us will see in our lives are physical stressors, chemical stressors, and emotional stressors. Chele and Anna already really hit hard on the chemical and emotional stressors, so I'm not going to focus so much on that, but I'm going to talk about the physical stressors a lot tonight. So physical stressors are anything that has a physical impact on how our bodies are functioning. And this can be things that are happening in big ways and things that are happening in little ways. So a lot of times we think about physical stressors as like falling on the ice, a car accident, sports injuries, breaking an arm, anything like that. And those are huge physical stressors that our bodies have to deal with. So we like to call those macro traumas. Another type of trauma that we do experience on a more daily basis are called micro traumas. So these are little repetitive things that happen on a day-to-day basis that we have to deal with and are affecting how our bodies are functioning every single day. So a main example of this would be poor posture. So a lot of people will notice, especially with 2020, work from home, all the virtual schooling and everything, you'll notice you're sitting at your computer and you might be like kind of hunched forward and looking down and with your neck tilted and stuff. And so that's going to impact how your muscles and how your ligaments and tendons and bones are sending information to your brain, as well as adding extra stress to them specifically. So we're going to talk about the brain stuff in just a minute. So I want to give you guys a little bit of a breakdown of the nervous system. The nervous system is very complex, and so there's a lot of different breakdowns that you may have seen of it. I'm going to talk about 2 breakdowns tonight. One is an anatomical breakdown, and one is a physiological breakdown. So the central nervous system is our anatomical. It's talking about the structures here. The 2 structures that make up the central nervous system are our brain and our spinal cord. So together, our brain and our spinal cord control every single thing that we do every moment of the day. So everything from me moving my hands, moving my lips, to being able to produce words and hear and see and breathe and digest your food, all of that is controlled through our central nervous system. The other part that I wanted to mention is our autonomic nervous system. So this is the part of the nervous system that we're looking at a physiological breakdown here. So the autonomic nervous system breaks down into the sympathetic and the parasympathetic systems. The sympathetic you've probably heard of. We've all gone through like 9th grade physiology class. And so this is going to be what a lot of us talk about as our flight or fight mode. It is what helps us keep going and function in stressful situations. We absolutely need it because if a bear is chasing after you, you have to be able to run away from it. And you need your body to be able to do that without you actively thinking about it. We also like to refer to this as the gas pedal. So this is like what keeps us going. And then the opposite side of that is our parasympathetic nervous system. This is our rest and digest side. It's not talked about as often, but it is incredibly important, because all of our healing and growing and thriving and digesting and all of that happens in this part of the nervous system. We like to call this our brake pedal, because this is kind of what slows us down and controls how we adapt to the stress. So we don't want to stay in that sympathetic stress mode all the time. We really want to come back and take it back down with this brake pedal and activating our parasympathetic nervous system, because we do want both systems to work in harmony. So now we're going to talk about the impact of those stressors on our nervous system. So we talked about the stressors. Chele and Anna talked a lot about the mental and emotional and chemical stressors. And then I talked a little bit about those physical stressors. So when these stressors build up over time, it causes an interference to our nervous system. And so when we can deal with stressors here and there, but when it gets to be too much, sometimes our nervous system and our brains and our bodies can't function with it as well as they should. So when that happens, the signals that are being sent from our body to our brain are going to be sent improperly. So it kind of might be some bad information or just confusing information sent to the brain, but the brain doesn't necessarily know that right away. So the brain is going to take that information and it's going to do its best with what it's got, and it's going to send information back that it thinks makes sense with that. And so then, like we see in this example here, so this is some sort of sensory input that's getting sent to the brain and the spinal cord. The brain and the spinal cord is going to integrate that, and it's going to send some output back here. So we can think back to our poor posture example. So when we look at that, we think about how our muscles and our bones are holding us up, but if it's not holding us up in a proper way, or if we're not activating them properly, that causes those poor signals to be sent to our brain. And then our brain tries to do its best with what it needs to do, and it sends some signals back. And so sometimes when these bad signals get sent back, it can start leading to things like headaches, neck pain, back pain, and more things that you would even imagine are associated with that. So that is where I come in. So as a chiropractor, I am trained to find areas of interference in the nervous system. So I'm looking for areas all throughout your body that there could be tension or interference or disconnection between your brain and your body. I use very specific, gentle chiropractic adjustments to remove these interferences, which will allow your brain and your body to communicate properly. Obviously, your nervous system controls your entire body, so it spans through the entire thing. But one of the main areas, so we can check almost your whole body. But one area that we really specifically like to check is the top of the neck up here. So there's a bone at the very top of your spinal column called your atlas bone. And it is also it's the first cervical vertebrae. So we call it C1, and it's shaped like a ring. So this ring goes all the way around your brainstem and your entire spinal cord. So it's every nerve that goes to your entire body goes through this ring, through this bone called the atlas. And especially one of the main nerves that exits there is our vagus nerve. So we are very focused on the vagus nerve because it is a major component of that parasympathetic nervous system. So it's huge in controlling how we adapt to stress and what we do with how we can function on a daily basis, and getting into that parasympathetic nervous system so that we can rest and digest and grow and heal and thrive. So when we check that upper cervical area and we activate the vagus nerve, it increases our adaptability to our daily stressors. So we're able to down-regulate our bodies more. So now we can look at some different stressors in the different age groups. Let's see here. So looking at infants and newborns, two of the major physical stressors that we really want to make sure we're checking in this area are birth trauma and then meeting developmental milestones. So during a normal vaginal birth that has no complications, there can be an additional 90 to 120 pounds of pressure put on the newborn spine. A baby is obviously coming through a very small birth canal and twisting and turning through there, and sometimes it requires a little bit of torque and pressure. So we just want to make sure that that pressure and that stuff is not impacting and adding extra stress to the baby's nervous system, which will then, because if it is, it will impact how they're able to adapt to stress as a baby. And then we also want to make sure that they're meeting their developmental milestones. From age 0 to age 2, there's a ton of crucial motor and neurological development happening, and different series of motions and movements that our children go through that are innately born in them. So we want to make sure that we allow them to go through these patterns of movement in the proper time frame and in the proper order. Otherwise, that can lead to further issues with their motor development and neurological development later on. So a few things that we can help with to make sure our babies are developing optimally are avoiding any infant orthotic devices. So these are your bumbos, exercisers, jumpers, anything that is going to put your baby in a position that they wouldn't naturally be able to get to in by themselves at this time. So a lot of times, and we want to avoid them, but obviously life is life. And if you need to go get in the shower and you need to put your baby in an exerciser for 15 minutes, that's totally okay. But we're just trying to avoid doing it for longer periods of time. So the best option here is to put your baby on the ground and let them move as freely as possible. We want them to be able to roll and twist and turn and do tummy time and lay on their back so that they're able to form those motor patterns and activate their muscles on their own instead of being forced into a position that they wouldn't naturally be able to get into right away. And then obviously we want to get them checked by a pediatric chiropractor. This really does do a lot in helping with especially that birth trauma and making sure that there is no stress in that like upper cervical area and making sure that they're able to develop and function as best as possible. Because we always say it's better to raise healthy babies than to fix injured adults. And then so we can go into our next age group, which is our toddlers and like elementary aged kids. There are like some stressors in this group. Obviously, Chele and Anna talked a lot about like the nutritional and the chemical part of this. But any type of like big falls, because now we are running and we're walking and we're playing. And so falls can kind of be a major trauma for kids here. We're also starting sports. So that can be another big physical trauma as kids are figuring out like how their bodies move and what they're kind of doing with this stuff. And then as well as any kind of like meltdowns and tantrums. And you might notice with that if your child is having like an inability to kind of down regulate and figure out how to stop that meltdown and that tantrum from happening, as well as having sensory issues, which can be a sensory seeking disorder or like a sensory avoiding disorder, and then like an inability to focus on the task at hand. So things that we can do to help our kids with this. The number one thing is movement, because movement is amazing. It gives our bodies a huge break from what's at hand, and it gives our right brain some stimulation, which is super important for creativity, logistics, and that whole side of the brain does everything that's the opposite of like the school stuff. So we really want to activate it to make sure that we can have our brain functioning and balanced at best as possible. And then as well as movement, and that can be like organized movement. So kids yoga is a really great option because it gives them certain movements that they're still following directions and they can still try to focus on the task at hand, but they're also still stimulating the other side of their brain. We want to make sure that we give them chances to take breaks from screen time, because screen time does increase a lot of like what Chele was saying with the stress on our mental and emotional health. So every like 20 to 30 minutes, just make sure your kids are able to get up and move around a little bit, and it takes some time so that they're not looking at the screen all day. And then of course, we still want to get them checked by a pediatric chiropractor. A lot of those issues that we talked about with the stressors can be hugely impacted with chiropractic care in this group. The meltdowns, tantrums, inability to downregulate, and the sensory and focus issues, a lot of those often happen because our kids are overly stressed out and their nervous system has too much to focus on. So if we can help those kids' nervous systems by activating that vagus nerve and getting them into a parasympathetic state, it will really help to get them so that they're able to focus better and calm their nervous system down. And then our last group is our teenagers and adolescents. And a lot of this will go back into playing into the same taking breaks and reducing screen time. But some of these stressors, like Chele talked about here, are social media use, anxiety, depression, as well as physical stressors here are like increased participation in sports and like serious sports like football and we all know, and hockey and those kinds of things do cause a lot of physical stress for kids, as well as a lot of increased computer time, especially with the virtual schooling. So like we were saying, making sure that they're able to take breaks, get away from that screen time for a little bit, and then checking their posture. So, and obviously encouraging them to move their bodies like we talked about with our younger kids. One of the main things that we can look at when we're doing posture is starting, especially when you're sitting at your computer. So if you're doing this, you can do it with me. You can rock your pelvis backward and forward, and then find the position in the middle of that, and that will be neutral. So you want to keep your hips in a neutral position, and then coming back up here, keep your shoulder blades pulled down your spine so that your ears are away from your shoulders. And then we want to make sure that we're tucking our chin back. So you get to have a lovely double chin like this. And then when we're doing this, we want to make sure that we're thinking that we want to keep our ears over our shoulders and then our shoulders stacked over our hips. And that will ensure that we're in a neutral spinal position. And then obviously still we want to get them checked by a chiropractor because there's a lot of stress happening at this age, changing from elementary to middle to high school to college and figuring out like what they're going to do with their lives. So a lot of like activating that vagus nerve and the parasympathetic nervous system has a huge impact for kids in this age group. And here's my contact information. So thank you guys so much for having us tonight. We really appreciate it. If you have questions about chiropractic care, please don't hesitate to reach out. Like Shelly said, please take a screenshot of this. I would be more than happy to answer any questions and get you on the schedule as soon as possible. So thank you. I'm going to hand it back over to Shelly.
All right, Rach, if you want to jump to the last slide, then we just want to let people know what we have for you tonight. So excellent job tonight, ladies. A lot of information, a little amount of time. I'm sure everybody's feeling the same way. There's so much where this comes from, but that's why we want to open ourselves up to individual consults. So for Dr. Rachel, she is going to be offering, just tell her I listened into your talk. Even if you listen to the recording, once we share that, say, hey, I listened to that talk. You offered $25 off your initial consultation. I'd like to take advantage of that. With myself and Anna, if you saw supplements that we talked about tonight, even if it's the fiber powder, the protein shakes, things like that, let us know. These are things I want 10% off. However, if you say to us, you know what, I'd really like to take the time, we're going to offer a free consult with anybody who reaches out to us. If you know somebody or love somebody that you think really could be supported by us, 15% off for anybody that takes the time out of their schedule to spend that time with us. So, any final words, ladies, before we promote the 6:30 evening event?
No, just thank you to everybody for hanging out with us tonight and listening to our information. So we were very excited to share with you and grateful for the opportunity.
Awesome. And this was our first event together. I'm sure there's more
Yes.
where this comes from. We'll probably have a lot of future events. So next, we'd like to let you know that right immediately after this event at 6:30, Tina Wonke, who is a holistic and integrative therapist out of the Appleton, Wisconsin area, is going to be doing a talk on your genes and how they can actually test genetically, confidentially, and privately your genetics, your DNA screening analysis in order to show you if you have that MTHFR gene, if you are susceptible to blood sugar regulation issues or diabetes or heart disease. So I have had mine done. I know Anna's had hers done. Rachel will probably end up having hers done because it's still very, very interesting to learn this. But I would recommend you go to, she's going to be just like us on Zoom, and then she'll be going live on Tina Wonke's Facebook page, Wankey, Tina Wonke Facebook page. All right, ladies, thank you so much. It was fun being with you tonight. So I really appreciate everybody who was with us this evening. We are going to shut down Facebook. We're going to shut down Zoom and wish you guys a great evening. Bye bye.
Bye, everybody.